Hi, guys. Thank you for that carrier update. Right now, we're going to welcome our next live guest. We've got Shanna Greathouse with us, who is joining us from Metafora. Shanna, thank you for being here today, talking a little bit about data strategy improvement, which like everybody needs a little bit of help with their data strategy, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's great to meet you. Well, actually, I've met you in person before. It's great to meet you over there. I work with Metafora, as you said. I head up their partnership network, Metafora Plus. It's like a home for the thought leaders in the space to get together, collaborate, and think through some of our client solutions and issues together. I also head up some tech engagements, including data strategy, which we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so Shanna, very nice to meet you as well. Hopefully we'll meet at the Future of Freight Festival here coming up in just a couple months. But let's talk about this. As Kaylee rightfully said, everybody needs a good strategy when it comes to their data, because just data over data to have data is not worth anything. So let's talk about this. What do you mean by strategy of data for truckload?
Sure. So data, as we know, is just like huge. It's growing on average 22% year over year globally as far as the amount of data you're getting at transactionally, customer data, social media. It's now at 97 zettabytes of data. So when we talk data strategy, what that is how do you process that data, store that data, and make it accessible? And by doing that, really make it something empowering for your organization. That's an enabler rather than something that can be overwhelming.
So a lot of that empowerment in your data strategy comes about how you choose to implement it. And there's recently been a lot of conversation between EDI versus API, legacy systems versus moving to new systems that are coming out to handle all of this data, difference between even AI use and how you can look at this data from a kind of non-personal standpoint and do analysis that you don't have to have a human to do that. What type of strategies do you think are kind of most important right now in their development stages?
So it's definitely a crawl, walk, run situation. AI, machine learning are very powerful tools. We've got some great partners that are already doing wonderful things like that, like green screens being one, for example. And there's amazing things you can do. But really, to get to that point, you have to have clean data. And that's really what we emphasize with our clients. A lot of times you have companies coming in that you're growing inorganically through all these customer acquisitions. And with that, you get more and more systems just compounding the amounts of data coming in and not necessarily talking to each other. So before applying for a machine learning, really, that's going to be impactful whenever you're applying it to your whole organization. So the first thing you have to do is combine data sources together, normalize that data, get some kind of infrastructure in place, whether it's a data lake, a data warehouse situation, combination of both, and make sure that data is clean. We really emphasize master data management as a tool for that. Master data meaning you're getting data at a higher level that makes sure the data connects together across sites, across trucks, things like that, so that you have a holistic picture.
Yeah, so Shanna, that makes a ton of sense. And even if you're not growing inorganically, even organic growth, you can have that issue, right? Where you have, holy cow! You go. I remember going into the AS400. That's how bad it was. Going into the AS400, and you'd have 15 different aliases. They just call them aliases for the same company. It's because we had no management of that data, right? So it's a pretty common thing, especially with somebody who's just now getting into this and reaching out to you guys. Is this insurmountable, or do they have to do this before they call you, or do you have ability and can help them kind of clean that up as a first step to start bringing in their data?
Yeah, so certainly they can pursue that on their own. We definitely enable that through projects and things like that. We typically go through an assessment phase where we understand the data sources, the data versions, to your point, and how antiquated they may be. And then from there, it's really working with the organization in appointing data stewards that are intimate with the specific data sources that they're in charge of. And then experts come in. We can be that expert and normalize that data and make sure that they're consistent across data sources. And then that will be stored in something like a data lake type situation.
So obviously, depending on what type of client is looking for different data management strategies, what they care about is going to be different, right? Like one company could care about this specific data point, one company could care about this one. But when you get them to start talking to each other, whether they're doing competition or collaboration across companies, how do you get kind of data synergy between these two different companies, just as an example, or between different groups who care about different things?
Do you mean for organizations do you mean competitors coming together as like a group, or do you mean through acquisitions where you have different cultures coming together?
That second piece, yeah, the second piece.
Okay, so yeah, so that's part of the transformation that comes with a post-merger integration is harmonizing your visions together. So for those types of engagements, you would want to not lose the secret sauce that is that organization, but also make sure that there's a common ground too. So it may be overlaying data sets. Maybe they have a unique data set for them as well, because that's something that's critical to them. But certainly there's pieces of information, think your back office accounting information. I mean, we've had clients that come in and after an acquisition, it takes a week to close the books because they've got Excel sheets from different analysts from different divisions. So certainly at minimum, you would want to combine the back office information and store it in an accessible way. And then for that separate information, you can organize that again in the whole architecture of the organization, but make it so it's more pertinent to that organization.
Yeah, so Shannon, let's talk about the Metafora Google relationship there. What is going on there, and why Google?
Yay, yes, I love this. So that partnership, thank you for asking, was announced, I believe, 2 weeks ago now. Really exciting. We have done migrations for major clients on Google Cloud. We use Google Cloud ourselves for our own socket product. It's something that we chose strategically because Google has to Kaylee's point about AI and machine learning, Google has that in their culture, and it's really reflected in their platform as well. So certainly we code on Azure, we work on AWS, but GCP is near and dear to our heart. And there's just so much you can enable that really applies to the trucking industry, besides what they're doing in supply chain on the digital twin front, that we're actually meeting with them tomorrow to talk about. We are just really excited by the way they make machine learning and AI accessible for a standard analyst. So things that I had to go to a boot camp to understand, they make it very intuitive for someone who maybe just has basic Google Sheets or Excel knowledge to play with models and understand maybe some basic forecasting, some clustering, some trending, to understand really the data in a different way. And it just makes it makes machine learning less elitist, I guess would be the way to put it.
I love that. And I love that you kind of talk about this idea of machine learning being difficult to access and inaccessible for people without having that extensive training. So with that, with the Google partnership, it kind of breaks down that barrier to entry a little bit and makes it a little bit less daunting to get into that machine learning space. What does this offer specifically to the trucking industry? What are people going to get out of this partnership with you guys and Google?
Yeah, so there's a host of things. We are a small but mighty team that's growing. We're like a mid-sized company, but with Google resources, it really makes it infinite for us to deliver some really amazing larger scale projects. So that's one thing. So you get the transportation expertise, but then this resource engine that Google is, as well as the amazing training that they already have that comes through us being a partner with them. It makes it so that's accessible to our end client. Further, trucking industry, I gave the example of having analysts pulling Excel spreadsheets. That's the norm. That's not the exception in the industry. We're really CapEx heavy on the actual equipment. So when it comes to technology and in these investments, there's a bit of hesitance to it. So you have this overhead of having analysts. And whenever you do start making technology investments, which we see being the trend for the next couple of years for sure, especially as we're entering the recession and with the difficulty in finding talent, you're going to have analysts that are hungry and have capacity. And now they have this opportunity to upskill to something else. and learn a skill that's applicable even beyond the trucking industry for them. So I feel like it's great for career growth. It's great for the industry growth. I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah, excellent stuff, Shanna, and very interesting. Congratulations to you guys. We're looking forward to great things out of Metafora and talking with you guys again. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Have a great day, guys.
You as well. And of course, you can follow Metafora on LinkedIn for great updates on everything that they are doing there. Right now, we're going to head on over to Sydney Edwards. She's got a full update on our top stories on freightwaves.com.